What if the reason you're not rich has nothing to do with money at all? What if it's not your job, not your bad luck, not even the economy, but something much closer to home, something inside your own brain? Somewhere in your mind, there's a program running, one you never chose and never even knew was there, and its only job is to keep you exactly where you are, not rich, not poor, just safe. Today, we're going to open up that program piece by piece and take a real look at the psychology of money, why smart, hardworking people stay broke their entire lives no matter how hard they work, and why some people who genuinely aren't smarter than you quietly go on to build real, lasting wealth. By the end of this video, you'll understand your own mind in a completely new way, and you'll walk away with a practical, honest starting point for rewiring it. Let's get into it. To understand your money brain, we have to go back, way back, not to your childhood, but to your species and everything it survived to get you here. For almost all of human history, there was no money. There was only survival, food today, shelter tonight, safety from whoever lived on the other side of the hill. Generation after generation, our brains were built for one single goal: don't run out, don't die. And that ancient brain still lives inside your skull right now, completely unchanged. It doesn't know what a savings account is. It has no concept of investing or compound interest or a diversified portfolio or a stock market ticking up and down. All it understands is a very old, very simple rule, carved in by hundreds of thousands of years of real danger. If something feels uncertain, treat it like a threat. And here's the problem with that rule today. Because money is uncertain by nature. It goes up, it goes down. It depends on other people, on markets, on timing, on luck, on forces completely outside your control. So your ancient brain treats money the same way it once treated a predator hiding in the grass, with plain fear. And fear doesn't make good long-term decisions. It makes short-term survival decisions. It makes you freeze when you should act, avoid when you should engage, or panic when you should simply stay calm. That's not a personality flaw, and it never was. That's biology working exactly as it was designed to. And biology can absolutely be worked with, once you actually understand it instead of quietly fighting it your whole life. On top of that ancient wiring, something else got added, layer by layer, somewhere between the age of 3 and 12, when you first learned what money means in this world. Nobody sits a child down and teaches this in school. You learn it by watching, the way children learn almost everything that actually matters. You watched how your parents' faces changed when a bill arrived in the mail. You noticed whether money conversations in your house were calm and open or quiet and tense. You heard whether your family said, "We can't afford that," all the time, almost like a reflex, or whether money was never mentioned at all, treated like some secret nobody was allowed to ask about. Every one of those small, ordinary moments left a trace behind, and psychologists actually have a name for these traces. They call them money scripts, silent beliefs running quietly in the background of your mind long after the moment that created them has been completely forgotten. Beliefs like, money is dangerous, or money is unfair and always will be, or rich people are cold or dishonest or simply bad, or the exact opposite, that money will finally make you safe, that money will fix everything that has ever felt broken inside you. Nobody ever said these things to you directly. Nobody stated them out loud as rules to follow, but you absorbed them anyway. The same way a small child absorbs a language without any conscious effort at all. And here's the uncomfortable part. You are still obeying those childhood beliefs today, as a grown adult with a job, a bank account, and real choices sitting right in front of you. Every time you spend impulsively and can't quite explain why, or freeze completely on an investment you know is smart, or undercharge for your own work again and again, that isn't you personally failing at life. That's a 10-year-old belief still quietly running the entire show from behind the curtain. Let's make all of this practical, because there are really 3 broad ways people relate to money. And they're not income levels or job titles, they're mindsets. And they don't always match your current bank balance. The first is the survival mindset, which quietly whispers that money is scarce and can disappear at any moment without warning. And people caught in it often either hoard money out of deep fear, refusing to spend even when they easily could, or they spend it fast, almost as if getting rid of it before it vanishes on its own. And both of those very different reactions actually come from the exact same root, an underlying anxiety about safety. The second is the status mindset, which quietly says money is proof that you matter, proof that you're finally enough, And people here often spend specifically to be seen on cars, clothes, upgrades, appearances nobody actually asked for. But no purchase ever fully satisfies this hunger, because the real hunger was never financial to begin with. It was always emotional. And the third is the growth mindset, which quietly treats money as a tool, neutral, something to be directed on purpose rather than feared or worshipped. And people here ask a completely different question than the other two groups. Not, will I lose this? And not, what will people think if I have this? But simply, calmly, what can this build over time if I'm patient? Here's the insight buried underneath all of it. Nobody is born with the growth mindset already installed. It's trained deliberately, over and over, like a muscle that only gets stronger through repetition, never through hoping. And that training can start today, right now, no matter what your bank balance happens to look like this week. Let's go one layer deeper still, into the actual chemistry running through your brain in these moments. When you feel financially insecure, even just a little, your body releases cortisol, a very old stress hormone that's incredibly useful for escaping a fire or a predator or a physical threat, and absolutely terrible for making a thoughtful 30-year investment decision. Under the influence of cortisol, your brain physically shifts into short-term mode. It stops thinking in years or even months and starts thinking in hours, sometimes only minutes. And this single fact is a huge reason why financial stress so often leads to more spending rather than less, no matter how illogical that sounds written down on paper. A stressed brain reaches for anything that feels good right now, in this exact passing moment. A new pair of shoes, food delivered to the door, a small, cheap, easy dopamine hit. And none of that is weakness. It never was weakness. It's simply a brain trying to escape a threat the only way it instinctively knows how. Meanwhile, there's another powerful chemical at play, dopamine. And dopamine isn't really about pleasure itself, despite what most people assume. It's about anticipation, about the maybe, which is exactly why checking a stock price every few minutes can feel almost addictive, and exactly why lottery tickets keep selling by the millions even though the odds are brutal and everybody technically knows it. Your brain isn't actually chasing the money in these moments. It's chasing the feeling of, maybe this time everything changes. And understanding that one mechanism is genuinely powerful because it means you can finally stop harshly blaming yourself for these patterns and start designing your life around your own chemistry instead of fighting an exhausting battle against it every single day. Here's something that quietly confuses a lot of people, even the ones who consider themselves self-aware. And that's why intelligent, capable, driven people still sabotage their own success over and over, almost on a schedule. It usually isn't laziness, and it's almost never a lack of ability. It's an old, invisible form of self-protection, built long ago for a completely different reason. Some people unconsciously believe real wealth will make them unlikable to the people closest to them. So they sabotage the raise, the promotion, the big client, right at the final moment, almost like clockwork. Some people believe that if they succeed visibly, they'll somehow owe something painful to everyone around them who didn't. So they quietly keep themselves small on purpose, without fully realizing they're even doing it. Some people learned very early that money caused conflict inside their household. So on a deep subconscious level, avoiding money entirely means avoiding old, familiar pain. None of these beliefs are rational when you actually say them out loud like this. But they were never required to be rational in order to control your behavior for decades. They only needed to be old and repeated often enough and never once examined closely. The human mind will almost always choose familiar pain over unfamiliar change, given the choice, even when that unfamiliar change clearly leads to a much better, freer life on the other side. And this is exactly why willpower alone so rarely fixes finances for good. No matter how much genuine discipline someone has, you simply cannot out-discipline a belief you don't even consciously know you're carrying. You have to find it first, name it clearly, and only then can you actually begin to change it for real. So let's talk about the actual rewiring now, the part you came here for in the first place. Start by naming your money story, out loud or on paper, taking 5 honest minutes to finish this sentence completely. In my family, money was danger, maybe, or a constant source of fights behind closed doors. or a taboo subject nobody was ever allowed to discuss openly, or a silent scoreboard for who was quietly winning at life. And whatever comes up first, almost instantly, is usually the truest answer you're going to get, often the hidden root of financial habits you've carried unquestioned for decades. From there, separate that old story completely from today's actual facts, asking yourself honestly whether this belief is still true right now, or whether it was only ever true back then, in that one house, at that one specific time in your life. Money causes fights may have been painfully true in a stressed childhood home, but it isn't a universal law of the entire universe that automatically applies to you as an adult today. Next, change your financial inputs directly, not just your intentions or your willpower. Because motivation fades within days, while your environment doesn't fade at all unless you actually change it. So if your banking app buries your savings 3 menus deep, you'll quietly forget to grow it month after month. And if spending is one tap away on your phone, you'll tap it again and again, almost without thinking, which means it's worth deliberately designing friction for whatever quietly drains you, and real ease for whatever genuinely builds you over time. Then automate the boring decisions completely, before your feelings ever get the chance to interfere, because the growth mindset isn't ultimately built through motivation. Since motivation by its very nature is unreliable and inconsistent, it's built through systems that keep working even on your laziest day, your most stressed day, your most tired and distracted day. Like a small automatic transfer set up once, moving money every single payday before you can even think about spending it instead. Alongside that, change your inner dialogue around money one sentence at a time, because instead of automatically saying, "I can't afford this," you can genuinely ask, "How could I afford this?" And that question sounds small, almost silly on the surface, but it absolutely isn't, since one version of that sentence quietly shuts your brain down completely, while the other opens it right back up and sends it searching for real, creative answers. It also helps to expose yourself deliberately and repeatedly to a brand new financial identity, reading about people who built genuine wealth slowly and patiently over years rather than overnight through pure luck, following ideas and people who treat money as a practical tool rather than a looming threat or a glittering trophy, because your brain updates its core beliefs based on whatever it sees repeated most consistently. So show it something new on purpose every single day until that new thing finally starts to feel familiar and normal. And last, maybe most important of all, fully forgive your own old patterns. Because you didn't choose the wiring you were handed as a defenseless child, you had no say in the matter whatsoever. But you are the only person alive who can choose to rewire it now, starting from this exact moment. And that rewiring won't happen in one video or one single week, or one lucky dramatic breakthrough. It happens the exact same slow, patient way the original wiring was built in the first place. Slowly, repeatedly, quietly, day after day, without anyone watching or applauding. Here's the truth most people never actually get to hear stated so plainly. You were never bad with money. Not once, not really. You were running a program that got quietly installed before you could even talk, let alone consciously consent to any of it. That program kept a scared, uncertain child safe once, a very long time ago, in circumstances that genuinely called for caution. But you are not that frightened child anymore, and haven't been for years. And the life you actually want isn't blocked by bad luck, or a lack of intelligence, or the economy, or bad timing. It's quietly blocked by beliefs that were never truly yours to begin with, simply handed to you without your permission a long time ago. So today, right now, pick just one single belief out of everything we've walked through together in this video. Write it down somewhere you'll genuinely see it again tomorrow. Question it honestly, without flinching away from the answer, and slowly, patiently, replace it with something far more useful to the actual life you're trying to build for yourself. That is how brains truly change in the end. Not all at once in one dramatic cinematic moment, but one single belief at a time, one ordinary day at a time. And if this video shifted something in you today, even slightly, even quietly, that was the entire point of making it. Subscribe, because we're going to keep rewiring one video at a time together from here on out. And I'll see you in the very next one.